All right, we're back here for Keep Arkansas Fishing Podcast, episode number 3. I want to thank the Diamond Lakes region, the city of Cattle Valley, and Arkadelphia Economic Development Center for giving us a place to do these podcasts. I also want you to look out for the new Hot Springs Diamond Lakes Visitors Guide, Vacation Guide. Lots of information in here around all the Diamond Lakes areas, so restaurants, hotels, everything, so check those out. And we've got a special guest tonight here, that's Wayne Dixon, and Wayne is here practicing for a tournament on Sunday, and he's going to give you a preview of what he's found the last couple of days in practice on Lake Degray, and then we're going to have him back and see if his plans worked out, what didn't work, if he wins, or whatnot. So, Wayne, tell us a little.
James, I've been here since me and you started back in '04. That's when we started this process, and Degray was phenomenal. We had tons of grass and everything, and it went down. It's on the upswing, major upswing. Degray really is a phenomenal lake. It's come a long ways, and that's a lot of credit to Game and Fish.
Yeah, they've been working.
They've got cages all over this, and we looked at it. I mean, you've talked about it. We looked at it all summer and last spring, and we watched the grass grow, and I have found grass in places that grass used to not be. And it's quality grass. It's not junk grass. It's the coontail and it's the milfoil that we always cranked and we always rattle trapped, and it's on the upswing, and it's fixing to really. This is going to be one of the best lakes in the state in the next 5 years.
Well, all I can say of is the last 2 years now, the local tournaments are having out there. This past summer, especially at night, there was. I know one particular guy caught 2 11-pounders.
Yes, and
it's crazy how many big fish have been caught in the past 2 years, outproducing any lake in the state.
And with you saying that, I fished a tournament over last year. I fished a BFL last year over here, and I had a great big one on the bed, and it was when the pollen was so bad. And I watched her, and I would get her working. I would get her lined up, and she would lock on, and I had her working where she committed. The wind would blow, and it would tighten my pollen if I'd lose her, and I would lose her. I'd come back in 2 weeks to the exact date, 2 weeks, and I caught her, and I won a tournament. It was the extreme team. My partner Jared Allen and I, we won it, and she weighed 779 or something like that, and she was poor as a rail. I told him, I said, she'll weigh 10. I spent 4 hours on one fish.
Well, I know the good ones are out here. It doesn't seem like there's just a crazy amount of numbers, but it's getting better every day.
I talked to a guy today that is a very well-known fisherman. He quit deer hunting to simply fish Lake Degray because of the quality and the productivity. He said the number of 50, he said I was having 50 fish days and they were averaging 3 pounds.
Yep.
That's a state of Arkansas, that's a lot.
That is a lot. And like I say, I don't know of anywhere in the state right now that you're catching 8, 9, 10, 11-pound fish.
No. I talked to a guy today at the boat ramp, and he said he caught a 1042 at Washington Hall last week, and he's a valuable fisherman. He knows what a big fish is. He's a lot older than me, and he's one of my mentors that I look up to. And
gosh, I thought I was the only one you knew that old.
I didn't say dirt.
Well, tell us a little what you're going to do tomorrow.
I came over 2 Saturdays ago, and I fished and I actually talked to you. I fished about 3 hours, and I couldn't get a bite. But I thought I was going to catch my fish deep, and I say deep, I'm talking 25 to 40 foot deep on football jig, and I never had a bite. And I thought, man, this is not good. So I picked up, as y'all know, I'm old school. Y'all poor guys that look at this and you just cry and weep. That's the Excalibur. This never hit the water. They don't get that no more. I've still got boatloads of the Excaliburs. I picked it up and I took off down the bank on one stretch and I caught about a 3.5, 3 3/4. I throw it back up in the drain where it's phenomenal. Anytime you find a tip of the drain beside it, I loaded up on one and she come off. She actually come off, but she was one of the 9 or 10 pounders. Because I had had her up beside me and I haven't caught a 10 pounder in 6 or 7 years. But I looked at her, but I didn't get her in. And I came back over yesterday and I said, I'm going to throw my rubber trap all day. The conditions were right. It didn't work. It did not work. I actually picked up that bait right there. That's a RC, Rick Clun. It mimics the LG bone from
Lucky Strike.
no, that's the Lucky Strike, but the LG bone come off of it. But that's just as good a bait. It's quality bait. I probably caught 15 or 18 yesterday on that bait right there.
This is actually this bait from Lucky Strike. Lucky Strike is actually a Arkansas Bass Team Trail Keep Arkansas Fishing sponsor as well. So we appreciate them and thank you for throwing them too.
And that's what I throw. That right there is what I throw. Tomorrow I'm going to start with that bait. Do I think it'll win a tournament? Probably not. Can I compete? Yes. It's a double-edged sword. Excuse me. To me, the A-rig, I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I'll have one tied on. I'll throw one tomorrow because I'll probably get beat with it.
Yeah.
But I watched fish today. Actually, today I had a big fish today on that bait right there. It's about 25 foot deep, and that runs 7 foot deep on 10-pound test fluorocarbon or monofilament. I throw Berkeley big game. It's cheap and as good a line as you'll ever come by. I'm old school. That's what I grew up with. I grew up on Lake Dardanelle. That's what we did. And that bait runs 7 foot deep. And I watched the fish come up from 20 foot. Today it was about a 5-pounder, and there was 4 more with it. If they're there tomorrow, it'll be a fun day. If they're not. But this is just the Excalibur. That's a one knocker. You hear it. And that's when I go to deep grass, as I say, Degray has had a phenomenal grass program come on. It's probably one of the best of productivity that I've watched Game and Fish do, is the work and the effort that they put into the grass, into this lake. And it is going to be astronomical to Arkansas fishermen.
Well, I can't wait. And you're already telling me enough right here, making me want to go out there and go fishing. But it's got to warm up for this big boy to go.
I tried to get you to go yesterday. It was 17 when I got here. And what's it going to be tomorrow? 15, 16, 17 degrees?
I think now they've said 20 at 7 o'clock.
20?
20, yeah, 20. It's going to be nice.
We start fishing tomorrow. I've been over and signed up and registered and everything. I was very blessed last year. And I put in a lot of effort and I put in a lot of work and had a lot of friends. I was very fortunate last year. I won the Arkansas Mr. Bass, the Classic. I won the championship. I won AOY. And those baits that I just showed you were a big, big part of it. I had predicted I was going to come over and throw a big jig. I was going to throw a 3/4 ounce jig. I have a guy that makes all my personal jigs, JP Custom. He makes all my personal jigs, and I just throw it. And I'm a basic guy. I throw a black and blue, or I throw a green pumpkin. That's you can go from New York to Florida.
Yep.
And catch them on those 2 colors.
I agree.
And that little bait right there, we'll play tomorrow. That's a DT8.
I've never made a cast with one of those.
They're balsa. They don't throw good. I throw a lot of it on spinning rod, contrary to popular belief. I will start in the morning with that exact bait. When I leave here, I'm going to go tie it back on, and I'll throw it on 8-pound test big game with a spinning rod.
I know you're talking about a spinning rod, and I know what brand rod you use.
I throw Denali.
I know, but just feel that right there.
It's light. That's a power rod.
Yeah.
Because we had talked about it, and you and I we were going to try some. I've never thrown one. I will never talk bad about another man's rod. I'll never talk bad about nothing. But with me, in my personal preference, and I've been with the guy forever. His name's Brian Head. He's took care of me forever. And I take care of the people that has taken care of me through the years, just like you.
That's right.
I started with you. Me and Randy Allen started with you.
I'll never forget. We've been friends the whole time.
You watched me kind of get upset at Beaver Lake one day.
No, I don't think you was upset. I think your feelings was hurt.
I was terribly hurt. To make a long story short, I lost one at Degray, listen at me. I lost one at Beaver Lake. I lost a smallmouth beside the boat. It wasn't a giant. It was about a 4-pound fish, but it cost me the first place in a big regional tournament. And I was new to the big tournament trail. I'd always stayed right at home and didn't know anything about a big tournament. And I said, well, I can compete at home and we'll see how I can do. And like I say, I don't take any credit for it. I've been blessed. The Lord has blessed me through this process and with the ability to catch a fish. And not necessarily catch the fish is the important part. The important part is the friends that I've made through the way.
Yes, that's just like we were talking earlier with some friends, Flan and Cody and all those guys. Yeah, I've been friends with them a long time, but Wayne and I go back a lot further, and generally we don't go very many weeks without at least talking on the phone back and forth and keeping up.
Once or twice a month at least, whether we're fishing or not, we're talking on the phone.
And you know, no matter how close a friend you are, you don't have many that stay in touch that close, and we always have. So.
And we always will, because you've helped me. You actually, I'll give you credit whether you think it or not. You've made me the fisherman more than you understand by giving me the confidence that I can do it. I didn't have the confidence that I could do it on the big trails and stuff.
Well, I don't know. I can't just say for sure, and you probably can. But since the first tournament you fished with me till now, I don't know that you've ever missed over maybe one or two in those 20, 18, 19, 20 years.
No, I missed a little bit there. That one year I had a bunch of stuff at work taking place, but I still made the regional, and I still made the Deer Classic and stuff, and we've been as far through you, plumb through the Bassmasters Toyota Team Trail.
Yeah,
and we like to qualify for the Bassmasters Classic through it, right here on this lake that we're going to.
Yeah,
I was sitting in third place after day one, and you mentioned Cody and Flan. Cody's dad, Royce Davis,
and
Flanagan Fight won that tournament.
Yep.
They won the boat.
Yep, so there's been lots of good times and lots of friends made, and you know, we're not doing a lot with the tournament now, and I miss a lot of the guys, but we're just kind of going in a different direction, and to be kind of honest, making it a little easier on ourselves.
And you called me last night, and you asked me would I come and do this, and I told you absolutely, that's what friends do, and we're sitting here, and guys, that's what I'm going to do. I mean, everybody thinks that I'm so secretive and this and that and stuff. There's 5 baits laying on that table tomorrow, and I will have an A-rig tied on. Simply for the fact is, I know if I don't catch a big one on it, I will more than likely get beat.
We pretty much know probably 6 out of the top 10 will be on an A-rig.
Correct. That bait right there, that's brand new. I've got to go home and change hooks on it and stuff. But 2 weeks ago, I had probably the biggest bass I've ever had at Degray in my life on that bait right there. Today, I pulled on a brush top, and I'll start there in the morning. Anybody that sees this afterwards and knows where I'm at, I will tie that exact bait right there. That is a RC, that's Arkansas made bait. I'll start with that bait. I had probably a 5-pounder on the day, and there was 4 more with him trying to get out of his mouth. He come off, I didn't even get him in. I was watching him on live scope, and I had 4 bites today, and all 4 bites come on that exact same bait. And I greatly appreciate those people, what they do to make it more affordable for guys like us.
Yep. You know, that's a big thing too. You know, I know all the people at the company, and Paul Thorpe is the rep and a good friend of mine, and I'm sure
I've
he is
known
yours
Paul.
too.
I started at Lake Atkins.
Paul actually went to school right here at Henderson State University.
I started at Lake Atkins tournament fishing. That's where I actually got into it. Little small town. They put a game of fish, come in and put Floridas in it, and I caught a 10, and Jared caught a 12-4 out of it, and we met Paul there and got to be friends with him, and Mike Canadle, which was he owned it. He owned Bear Supply. He run Minnows forever and stuff, and those are good people. They're like you. They're good people that have always been with me and will always be with me.
Hey, friends are hard to come by, but when you get one, it really means a lot. It's
Friends are cheap. Friends are cheap, but true friends, you can't put a value on because they stay with you through the good and through the bad.
no, and we're sitting here in a happy moment enjoying things, and you didn't know the guy, but one of my, and I'm gonna be willing to say probably my best friend in the world, if you can put that out there. Known him all as far back as I can remember, but he was buried a week ago today, and this is the first time I've mentioned it, but I can't tell you how many hours this week I've spent just thinking about him and all the times that have gone by and the good times together, and that's just
With that being
you can't miss a good you can't lose a better friend.
with that being said, you called me and you said I've got a good friend that I need you to pray for, and I told you, I said I will do. I don't know him, but if he's your friend, as much as I value you,
Yeah.
he's my friend.
That's what I value every friend I've got. I think I've got a total of about, since I've lost him, I'm probably down to 4 now, but you know, I'm proud of all 4 of them.
And that says a lot. A true friend in life can never be replaced.
I agree, 100%. All right, Wayne has told y'all what he's going to throw tomorrow. These 5 baits, and then probably an A-rig. And I'm pretty sure that he's going to catch them. I don't know that he's going to win with this, because we do agree that an A-rig will most likely win. It's not a guarantee, but most likely. Conditions tomorrow will be a lot.
We're going tomorrow. When I caught those fish yesterday, and I caught a lot of fish yesterday. I actually had fun yesterday. They weren't big quality fish. I had a chance for a big quality bite or 2 along the way, but didn't get them in. In which tournament day and practice day, it's totally different.
Yeah.
People don't understand practice day. And I looked at a bunch of brush tops today, and I would pull up on a brush top today, or pull up on a rock pile and see 3 or 4 big ones on live scope and never make a throw. And that's all a man needs to know is the confidence. But the A-rig has changed fishing so much, because when I grew up and when we started together, we had a jerk bait. we had Smithwick jerk baits.
I know. I remember.
And we would take them and we would color them. We'd wrap lead around the hooks.
Yes, sir.
And we'd take dots, suspend dots. We done all of that.
I remember.
Technology has come so far. It's like the world. The technology's come so far, it made us lazy.
But since we've said all this, the whole trick to this deal is now, when we come back, we're not putting this podcast out at the end of what we're going to say today. We're going to come back after the tournament in a few days and finish off the second half of this on what worked, what didn't work, and should you get your tail kicked, or did you do the right thing? That's going to be fun to see.
I'll tell the young anglers that watch this. I'll tell you what I've always looked at, and this is how I approach one. When you walk into a tournament and you say, well, I've got to beat this guy, or I've got to beat that guy, that's wrong. There's a green fish in some parts of Arkansas, there's a brown fish that swim in the water. You beat those fish, and nobody will beat you. You fish against the fish, not the fisherman.
I'm glad you said that. I want to bring up something else. Keith and I discussed this at every tournament we've ever had. is when the boats take off of a morning, we know by talking, visiting, dock talk, whatever you want to call it, we know the guys that beat themselves before they ever launched the boat.
And I have fished a bunch of local. Like I tell you, James, I've been blessed. The Lord has blessed me with the ability to catch a fish. I may zero tomorrow, and I will zero sometime this year. That wasn't my day. But every young angler needs to understand it's not the person you're fishing against, it's the fish.
Yeah, and
Don't beat yourself before you ever start. And I have heard it around the house. Well, just might as well give you my money.
yeah.
That's not right, guys.
I've seen tournaments won the first 10 minutes of a morning. I've seen them won the last 10 minutes in the evening. I know of a guy or a team that's fished with us for years that this has probably been 2 years ago, maybe 3 on Lake Washita. Something happened to the trolling motor at the very first spot they stopped.
Oh, Lord.
Didn't have a trolling motor the whole day. But they just kept fishing. They didn't throw in the towel and go home. They kept fishing, and the last 30 or 40 minutes of the day, they run into a school, caught them, and got second place.
I fished a tournament with you, James, me and Randy Allen, at Lake Washita. It was probably 15 years ago during Fishers and Men. I would tell you his name. Him and his son fished together. I know him well. They caught like 28 pounds. It had been about 3 hours into the tournament.
Ricky and Trent.
Ricky and Trent Owens.
Yes, I remember that.
It had been about 30 minutes in. We started having trolling motor troubles. About 2.5 hours, my trolling motor smoked, burnt up. So I grab an anchor out of my box and a rope. We would pull up on a spot and we'd stop and fish. We were getting ready to come in and my steering cables broke.
Oh my gosh.
We had no trolling motor and no steering cables. I sat on the back deck and we idled and we got on, pushed it on pretty hard, and we come in second to the best fisherman in the state of Arkansas. We had like 20 pounds and they had like 28. They absolutely mashed on that day.
I know the story on them that day, and I'm gonna say Trent was 15 or 16.
He wasn't that old.
And
He was young.
they had a pretty big stringer in the box. And he was gonna call his mom and tell her to come to the weigh-in. And he had his jig in the water. While he was talking to his mom, a fish bit his jig, and he told her, he said, "Come on, Mom, I gotta go, I got a fish on." He lays the phone down, sets the hook on the fish, gets it in. I don't remember the size of it, but it was
like
the biggest
8.5
fish.
or 9 pounds.
Yeah, biggest fish of the day.
They had 28 something.
Yeah, yeah.
It was astronomical. And
And-
those are good people. I still talk to them, and I love to see the young men fishing. I love to see the kids. And if they come up to me, I've been around the state for a long time, and like I say, the Lord's blessed me with the ability to catch one, and I give more baits away than I break off to the young men. I do that, and I do that to try to get them encouraged, because they're the next generation that's going to bring this to full scale.
Yep. Well, Wayne, I appreciate you coming.
I'll be back, and hey guys, all we can say is that's what I'm going to do, and if it don't work, I'll tell you it don't work, or I'll tell you it did work. And truthfully, with this being said, if it's 12 o'clock and I don't have a bite, I'll pick up my football jig, my half-ounce football jig, and I'll put it on that Denali rod, and I'll go to dragging it. And if I pull over the right brush top, I may come back and hand you a jig and say, "Here's the jig I caught him on." But mindset, I'm going in winding.
Well, before you get out of here, I'm going to run through something before we quit here. I want to thank some of our sponsors while we're here and you're sitting here. And I know ours and yours vary, but I want to thank Powell Rods. They've just been tremendous to us. This is a Shimano Banford reel. We're not sponsored by Shimano, but Keith and I both fish Shimano, always have, and I actually don't think I'll ever change. I tried changing one time and it didn't work, so probably won't ever happen again. AccuCull, one of the best culling systems in the world.
Agreed.
Here's a set of scales, and now they've actually updated and have a newer version that if they're not out now, they will be in the next few weeks.
I have that exact set in my boat.
Here is the cull tags. I've never used a cull tag in my life, but I haven't been fishing a tournament in I don't even remember the last one, but
I have
these are
those
some
exact same ones in my boat. The fish can waller, the fish can flop. It does not come out of his mouth. The little tabs float. You can pick your fish up. You don't have to dig in a live well and damage the other fish. You can keep them peaceful.
All right, there you heard it from the man that's using them. And here is actually a recorder. You can match the weights up and dial these weights in on this recorder, and the colors in the cull tags will match up with this, and you know what you got all day long and don't have to keep up with it in your head. And then here's another deal. K9 fishing line. They've got fluorocarbon. They've got mono or fluoro-covered mono, and they've got braid. And the last 2 or 3 crappie championships, 2 or 3 years, has been won on K9 line. And Keith and I have been throwing this stuff for the last 2 or I think 3 years. It's as good a line as I've ever used. There's some of it on this reel. This is my personal. If I go tomorrow, that's what I'm going to be throwing. So,
Well, I can tell you where they're at. I've seen them today.
and another deal that we'll start doing, and this podcast will be one of them. Academy has been a long time sponsor with us and just the greatest people that I've ever dealt with. We're going to start having a contest in our podcast, and we'll bring this up in the second half of this, but you'll be winning. Whoever wins the contest will win a gift card from Academy. So I appreciate that, and thank y'all for everything. And like I said, I want to thank Wayne for coming by, spending a little time with us, and we'll have him back in a few days and see what happened.
Hero or zero?
All right, thank y'all very much, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, everybody, welcome back to Keep Arkansas Fishing Podcast, episode number 3, the second half of it. So, and we're here with Wayne Dixon, and if y'all remember, Wayne had went out and practiced for a tournament and told us what he was going to do and what he had done in practice, and then he's back now to tell us what happened during the tournament that he either expected or didn't expect. So, tell us what happened during the tournament, Wayne.
We started that morning. It was cold. It was real cold, and I had planned on catching them on a rattle trap. I had a real good practice on a rattle trap. I took the hooks off of it. This is just the Excalibur. That's how I carry them. I don't ever fish the factory hooks. That and the half ounce and the 3/4 ounce, and had a real good practice. Like I said, it was really my go-to thing. It was so cold that morning, so I started, and I said, I'm going to start with the A-rig just a little bit. And I caught a pretty good fish early on the A-rig and had another fish miss it and pulled one off, and I picked a football jig up. Just a half-ounce football jig made by JP Customs. I mean, it's just a green pumpkin, purple, and orange jig that he makes for me. It's just a half-ounce with a light wire hook. And done all that and caught a limit about the first 45 minutes. And I said, okay, I'm going to go throw a rattle trap the rest of the day and catch a big fish. I had one bite on a rattle trap the rest of the day.
Oh my gosh.
And I went back to my A-rig fish, and I caught one time, but the rattle trap bite, and I talked to people that caught them shallow. I'm talking about just caught them good. I just missed it. I don't know what I done wrong. I zigged when they zagged, and it was just one of them deals. It's called fishing.
Yeah, that's crazy weather Arkansas fishing. That's what that is.
I just own that little rate swimmer, what are they, the 275, and that gives her green color. Same thing I crappie fish with. That's what I crappie fish with and bass fish. I had a rock point that had some good fish on it, and then I actually had an ace in the hole that I thought I could back up to, throwing a little DT8. Just a bait that I throw a lot, and ain't no reason why. They're just fish catchers. They're not the best quality bait, but they're fish catching machines. Anything that catches them real good don't last very long.
That's right. Did you believe that I've never thrown one of those DT series baits, 6, 8, 10, any of them? Never thrown one of them at all.
They're really, really good baits. They're a good buoyant bait because they're made out of balsa and catch tons of big fish on them. Can't knock them. Good colors. The paint holds up good on them and stuff, but the quality, the bill come out on some of them, and it's just part of it. Like I say, anything that's good don't last long.
Well, you know, there's a lot, but you think about it, there's really that line tied to that bill, it takes a pretty good bite to encounter. You know, you catch a couple of 100 5-pounders on there, you've got a lot of torque on there, really.
I'd have to go through several of them catches. My fish quit biting, and I know it's weird, the deep fish, and I say deep fish, those are 30 foot deep. And I took a spinning rod with a little round head, 1/4 ounce, throwing it 30 foot deep. You could drink a Coke or whatever else you want to do by the time they got to the bottom. And it was just nearly a dead stick, and you would never feel a bite. You just hold it, and you just go to get heavy, and you just start pulling. Pulled a big fish off that day, but it wouldn't have mattered the way they caught them and stuff down there. So anyway.
Well, I want to touch on something that you talked a lot about in the first half of this, was the grass.
The grass on Degray, the lower half of the lake, the stuff, Game and Fish has done a phenomenal. It's something that we haven't seen, and it's going to be a 3 to 5 year process if we don't get a flood and it kills or anything. But in 3 to 5 years, Degray is going to be what it was back whenever me and Duke Gunnell fished it, and we threw the DL ends and ripped them out and caught them everything.
You know, Saturday, I was out there, first time I've been on the water fishing since they started putting the grass in. And I was actually out there and helped them put the cages in and pot a bunch of the plants and everything. So I seen that part, but I haven't been back out there to see the grass or the fish. And the little while that we fished and the areas, when I found 4 species of grass, and one of them I don't know what is. And
it's some of the real thin grass, and it's kind of bloomy looking. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's got a kind of a fuzzy top on it. Yeah, I don't know what that is either. I actually talked to AGFC today about that, and they said, "Did you take a picture of it?" And I said, "No, actually I didn't. I had planned to, and I hooked up on a big one, and then got excited, and I forgot to take a picture." So.
Yeah, but you got him in, did you?
No, I didn't get him in, but I know where he lives, and I know the kind of grass he's in. So.
I found some, what I call coontail.
Yep, there's coontail. That's their big thing that they're going after now.
I didn't catch my fish out of it. I couldn't get bit in it. They're there. I don't think this young species of fish is adapted to the grass yet, because they're still more rock and wood, because that's what they grew up on.
Yeah.
But we get new spawn come through that we just had, and it hits that grass. It's going to be, the gray is fixing to blow back up, I feel like.
Well, I told Brett at Game and Fish today, I was talking to him about it on the phone, and I said, you know, I'm really shocked at where it's at from where we started, but I said, if we don't get a flood or something to wipe it out again, I said, I can't imagine what it's going to do this year.
I actually found a wall of grass that I haven't seen in years. And I threw a rattle trap, and I ripped a rattle trap out of it. I ripped a DLN out of it, and tried to swim a jig through it a little bit, and didn't get bit. But I promise you, I'll be back to that grass patch. It was probably 400 or 500 yards long.
Yeah,
and 8 foot wide.
Yeah, that's what I kind of found. A lot of the stuff, were small, narrow bands here and there. But like I say, if it don't flood it out and kill it, that's going to expand. If the lake would come up gradually and let that grass come up with it, we the fishermen will be happy.
We were going to see rewards from what Game and Fish done. Everybody gripes about Game and Fish fishery and the black bass fishery, but from what they've done and the time and the money that they invested in Degray, it's going to trifold.
Well, they've done good on two. They've done good on Greers, and they've done good here. And it's
they put shad in Greers, and
yeah.
Greers Ferry is probably one of the best fisheries in this state right now by far. If you just go for to catch good quality fish, if you want to go catch brown fish, if you want to catch black fish, it don't matter.
Yeah, and I just wish I was a little closer to it where I could go more often, because that's one of my favorite places to go.
It's fun. I've been up there with Cody and stuff, Cody Davis and stuff, bringing catching them around about and stuff. And them boys up there, they're just having
See, that's not even fair. That's
he lives right there, and he calls me and sends me pictures and stuff. It's
that's not fair. That's kind of like what do you call it? Discriminating? Ain't that what that would be?
Yeah, he rubs it in too.
Yeah,
that's
that's what I say. Well, he's that kind of guy,
We say bass fishing, and we say bass fishing, and we say bass fishing. Game and Fish don't just do bass. The crappie at Greers have blowed up over this shad population they put in there. And there's the whole lake. They're talking about just big, huge balls of shad they're finding all over the whole lake still. It's just they're reproducing, but they got to keep doing it to keep them coming and stuff. It's like we got to manage the grass.
Well, that's the thing too. You're talking about crappie fishing. The Degray crappie fishing is really, really, from my perspective and what I know, it doesn't maybe have the numbers that some of the other lakes does, but it's got real good quality. And I think with this grass bite, it's going to bring the crappie back even more too. It has to.
Y'all had that crappie tournament last year, and Jared and I fished the crappie tournament.
Yeah.
And we were on some. I've crappie fished a lot. Caught several thousands, and for quality, from what I've seen at Degray, the only thing that happened there is our crappie 2 days prior to the day of, they spawned, and we lost some weight because our crappie, I weighed some crappie that weighed 270s, 280s, and didn't even weigh some of the big ones.
But
it's astronomical how big they were.
Another thing that happened that weekend, and I knew it then, and I've thought about it a lot since then. We fished 2 days. We fished a bass tournament on Saturday and the crappie tournament on Sunday. Well, during the bass tournament, you would have liked to have had the wind that we had in the crappie tournament. So it made it harder to crappie fish when it would have been a blessing to have it on Saturday bass fishing.
It was quite capping on Sunday when we were trying to crappie fish, and our area was blowed out, and we had pollen real bad that time.
Yeah.
We couldn't see with our live scopes like we should have been able to see because some of our pockets got pollen blown. But that's just part of it.
Yeah.
Hey, somebody's going to win.
Hey, it still took over 13 pounds to win it, and it took over, done forgot the exact number, but over a 3-pounder for big fish. That's pretty fair crappie fishing, especially on a bad day.
Anywhere in the States you go, 3-pounder, if you catch a 3-pound crappie, you caught something to go
Yes,
with
sir.
the
Yes, sir. Well, Wayne, I appreciate it, and thank you for getting back with us. And I know we both, on both our sides, we've had a little hiccup in getting back together, but we've done it and been successful at it. So we've even learned something about podcasting doing this. So, so I appreciate your time, and thank you very much. We're going to take a break and finish this off, and we'll see you possibly this weekend then.
I may see you at Caboco this weekend if the weather blows me out on Sunday.
All right, well, good luck to you, brother.
Y'all be careful and have a blessed night.
All right, you too. Thank you, man.
If you are interested in sponsoring the Keep Arkansas Fishing podcast, please send an email to info@arkansasbassteamtrail.net. Again, that is info@arkansasbassteamtrail.net. Please enjoy the rest of the podcast.
All right, guys, we're back. Gonna try to wind up this episode 3. I'll tell you what, we're gonna have to give away some prizes in each podcast from now on. And what you're gonna have to do is, not only are we doing a podcast, but we're making this into a YouTube video also. So when we put it on YouTube, you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Arkansas Bass Team Trail. Subscribe and comment in the comment section. And we will draw from those that subscribe and comment, and we will send you a $50 gift card to Academy. And that's all you got to do is subscribe and comment. And that way we've got your name, and we'll have a way to contact you, and we'll send you a $50 gift card to Academy. And it's pretty special, and we want to thank Academy for this. So y'all be sure and watch for us on YouTube, because I'll post them on our Facebook page and everything else. So just watch Arkansas Bass Team Trail Facebook page, and I'll post it on there, and then you can see it there and subscribe and comment on it. And like I say, we'll draw one person each month, and we've had 2 episodes. Y'all can go back and we will do it for the first 2 episodes already. You go back and subscribe to our channel and comment on each of those. And we're going to go from beginning of January until going forward. So thank you very much. I want to thank Bob's Machine Shop, K9 Fishing Line, AccuCull Scales, Recorder, and Release Tags, Powell Rods. They're right here in Hot Springs, Arkansas now, so you can buy them on their website, and they'll get them shipped right to you. They've got me and Keith to use it on now, so we think they're real good rods. Frog Togs. Just look at, they've got not only the rain suits, but backpacks, everything in the world now. Waders, hip boots, ladies' boots and shoes, just everything I can think of. And say thank you, and we'll see y'all next time.